Hello everyone, this is Kevin. I'm an artist on Distant Worlds 2, and I'm going to be going over how to get a ship into the game. First thing you want to do is bake in a negative 90 degree rotation to your main mesh. This will convert Maya's or whatever software package from Y up to Z up locally, and this is needed to calculate firing arcs and stuff like that and rotations. Second thing you want to do is take all your submeshes and everything and parent them to the main mesh, that'll kind of inherit the transforms there. As you could see, the X is currently at negative 90. That's because I got all this set up before I did this, but if I parent that in there, it'll return to 0. Something you'll want to do for weapons is ensure the origin or the pivot or whatever you want to call it is in the center of rotation for that weapon, because that's what's used to actually point the weapon at different ships. If you hit it and just do like the standard center pivot, as you can see, it's going to be towards the barrel and it's going to rotate weird, and we obviously don't want that. Another thing as far as pivots go is you want the center of the ship to be at the origin of the scene, as the positions of the meshes are kind of calculated relative to that origin for the little kind of orbs that represent where the parts go in the shipbuilder. And if the origin is off, those little orbs will be off in the same way. For weapons, from this sort of view, we want to bake in the rotations for the weapon arcs. So if you have a side-facing weapon arc, you want that baked into the mesh and not set up anywhere else. I don't have any on this asset, but just for reference, forward is going to be 0, so all these guns pointing forward, they have 0 and Z there. Left side is going to be positive, and right side is going to be negative, and the rear is going to be 180. As you can see, this engine, 180 degrees. We want that so it's pointing backwards, the engine trail that is. Similarly, for these, we want to ensure that all the rotation's baked in, so it actually points out from the engine instead of straight back, so that would obviously look a little weird. I go further into engine trails kind of later on, but it is something to consider. But another thing to mention is I have these two different colors here. It just is two different materials. I have one for the common parts here in green, so the components and stuff like that, just to save time, and we're always going to have those same sort of things on just about every ship, and then just the base material for the ship itself. These are just placeholders for the running lights. This could be, I believe, could be even like a locator or any sort of geometry. I just have cubes. It's just based on the name. You might notice it says FBX, ASC, ASCII code, whatever. That's just a pound sign or a hashtag or whatever you want to call it, the number sign. That's just how it displays in Maya for FBX files. For whatever reason, it doesn't support the hashtag. I think it's used for different functionality in Maya. But that's what we use generally for declaring different parts that the engine needs to pay attention to. But once you're kind of done with setting all this stuff up, you just select everything, export it, and you're good to go for the next step. Obviously, this is all going to need to be UV'd before you do that. But that's kind of going to be software dependent on that. So, but assuming everything else is kind of how I said, you'll be good to go.